As much as Starmer wants it to be a dictatorship, it was always going to be hard to pull it off. Following the news last week over Starmer's decision to cut the winter fuel allowance, it seems Labour MPs are set to revolt and turn their back on this decision. Let's get into the video and discuss it, but first hit the like and subscribe button and join our fast-growing community. Keir Starmer has been dealt a harsh blow as research conducted by Labour has shockingly revealed that almost 4,000 pensioners could die if winter fuel payments are cut. The analysis warned Conservative proposals to axe the allowance for 10 million elderly Britons in 2017 would increase excess deaths by 3,850. Labour's research, which was published when Sir Keir Starmer was serving as Jeremy Corbyn's shadow Brexit secretary, also labelled Theresa May's proposal the single biggest attack on pensioners in a generation in our country. The research said, since the introduction of the winter fuel payment by Labour in 1997, allowing for significant variation in winter weather, deaths among the elderly have fallen from around 34,000 to 24,000. However, backbench Labour MPs will now look to mount a rebellion against Starmer himself, as the Prime Minister looks to force through his deeply unpopular plan to means-test the energy bill subsidy. Starmer initially hoped to avoid a Commons cabal scrutinising his proposal by introducing the cuts through secondary legislation, but was forced to hold a vote after pressure from the Tories. The Prime Minister stressed he is now glad a vote is going ahead, adding, "I think it's very important for Parliament to speak on this. This is really tough, and I do get that it's tough. It's not easy, and no Prime Minister wants to take a decision like this. But the winter fuel payments are now to be targeted. They were untargeted before, and I think everybody thought that wasn't a particularly good system, so it needed to be targeted." Former Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell appeared to voice concern about deaths this winter. McDonnell, who spoke out against the winter fuel cuts back in 2017, said, "I remain in hope ministers will come forward with an alternative to protect my constituents, who will suffer badly from this change of policy. If not, I can't in all conscience do anything else but vote against." However, McDonnell's criticism comes after he and 6 other Labour MPs lost the whip for supporting an SNP motion to scrap the 2-child benefit cap. Current Labour MPs have also warned the Prime Minister against pursuing the policy. An MP told the Daily Mail, "This is blatant hypocrisy. All those now reversing Gordon Brown's winter fuel allowance were Labour MPs when we fought against Theresa May's government's plans to scrap it in 2017. Times change, but the basic ethos and political principles of the largest parties should not be quite as interchangeable." York Central MP Rachel Maskell added, "My concern is that an NHS under extreme pressure will experience even more pressure if people who are fuel poor are ending up there because they can't heat their homes. Labour has got to find a solution to assure people they can get through this winter." Despite Labour's own 2017 research, a government spokesman claimed Whitehall was not able to recognise those figures. He said, "We are committed to supporting pensioners through the triple lock, which means that over 12 million pensioners will see their state pensions increase by almost £1,000 over the next 5 years. Given the dire state of the public finances we have inherited, it's right that we target support to those who need it most. Over 1 million pensioners will continue to receive the winter fuel payment, while many others will also benefit from the £150 warm home discount from October." In other news, a British prisoner described as very dangerous has escaped from a prison in Portugal using a ladder and a handmade rope. Mark Cameron Roscalier, who is serving a 9-year sentence for kidnap and robbery, broke free from the high-security prison on Sunday morning. 4 other inmates also escaped from Vale de Judeas jail, which is located around 40 miles north of Lisbon. Luís Neves, the director of the Portuguese Judicial Police, said 4 of the 5 escapees are dangerous and violent men who will do anything to remain free. Their crimes include violent robbery, drug trafficking, and organised crime. Authorities say the prisoners received external help to successfully carry out their escape. Accomplices outside the prison supplied the inmates with a ladder that allowed the inmates to scale the wall, the Portuguese Prison Service, DGRSP, said. Frederico Moraes, president of Portugal's National Prison Guards Union, said, "They managed to jump a fence because there are no guards to watch the perimeter, put the ladder against the wall, and from there, with a handmade rope, they climbed over the wall." Neves added that it was a complex operation by organized criminals, with financial capacity, everything thought out down to the smallest detail. Among the escapees was an Argentinian and a Georgian national. 2 Portuguese men were serving the longest sentences of 25 years, including 61-year-old Fernando Ribeiro Ferreira, who were jailed for crimes including robbery and kidnapping. Manuel Vieira, Deputy Secretary-General of the Portuguese Internal Security System, said that the authorities of the Schengen area, Interpol and Europol, had all been informed. However, at this time, an emergency closure of Portugal's borders will not take place. "We are currently quite comfortable with the circulation of information both nationally and internationally," Vieira said. "We are doing everything that can be done." King Charles has been hailed for his very successful first 2 years as Britain's monarch, as today marks the 2nd anniversary of his accession to the throne. Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in history, passed away 2 years ago today at her home in Balmoral, surrounded by the closest members of the royal family. Reflecting on Charles's accession, royal author Robert Hardman claimed that despite a difficult year for the royals, Britain's monarchy is rock solid. However, Hardman admitted that the significance of Queen Elizabeth II's death left an enormous hole in the national landscape, leaving the incoming king with mounting pressure upon stepping into his late mother's shoes. Speaking in an interview, Hardman explained, "I think we all remember where we were when we heard the news that our longest-lived, longest-reigning, longest-serving monarch in our history had died. She was in her late 90s, but there was still a sense of shock because for the vast majority of people in Britain and around the world, she had just always been there. She was the human embodiment of stability, continuity, and reliability." Noting the concern expressed by royal supporters about how King Charles would perform as monarch, Hardman praised the success of the king in his first years in the role. Hardman admitted, "I remember at the time, there were people worrying about how on earth can Charles step into her shoes, given her extraordinary role in our life. And yet that's precisely what he's done. It's been a very successful reign, 2 years on." Discussing the wider royal family and their health concerns announced this year, Hardman noted the difficult obstacles both the King and Princess of Wales have faced this year alone, and how he has still got on with it. Hardman said, "He's had the challenges of his health and, of course, the challenges of the Princess of Wales. The royal family have had a difficult year. But nonetheless, when you look back and you think of everything that has happened since, we've had a great deal of national and geopolitical global instability, and yet the monarchy has been rock solid. He's now on his 3rd Prime Minister, and we've had crises of one kind or another, but the monarchy has just got on with it." Hardman added, "I think people feel reassured. There's this 1,000-year-old institution that obviously has to adapt, but has shown that duty comes first and that the smooth running of the country is the better for it." What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.